18th, live trading, San Diego. We got the Lowe's Coronado. I mean, what else would you want? This event is limited to 50 people. Look at your calendar, clear it, make sure you show up. If you want to be a rebel, this is the place to be. You got to sign up for it now. Giddy up, baby.
Bang. Bang.
Hey, I didn't even hear Jared on that. I just all of a sudden saw him go. I was like, hey, what the hell is that?
Well,
he and I are at least in the same country, for God's sakes.
True.
Hey, yeah. You know what? Jared, swear to God, didn't we just say right before we came on? Oh, yeah, John goes, oh, no one's going to be walking around here like yesterday. Now there's like a stream of people walking around in that broom closet or whatever.
Well, I mean, Pete, it gives you an idea that we are correct in assuming that more people watch streaming than watch video on television because, you know, a whole bunch of Europeans over here, they say, oh, we love watching the Rebel Edge.
Well, I can't say who it is, John, but you've been teasing this thing about the streamers for a while. And it's not that you're being a jackrabbit or anything like that, but this has really progressed of late. And you and I both know what I'm talking about. Now Jared does as well, but can't talk about it. But I will tell you this, there's some interest out there. There is a lot of interest out there. We'll crush some of the numbers of some of the quote unquote competition.
Well, welcome to the Rebel's Edge, folks. Remember, we only give you 1 minute of macro, single minute. So, Jared, kick it off. Let's talk about U.S. Treasury yields. They were already tracking lower, Pete, before the advanced retail sales numbers came out, and they are dropping yet again. The Treasury yield below 3.4% for the first time since September. Bang.
Yeah, and I would just add to it, and then we can be done with this crap on this macro. What do people get so fascinated about with it, John? Like they all, well, you know, I miss macro. You guys are wrong. It's like, really? So you get a lot of great trades out of that, huh? You really? No is the answer. You don't. It's just some macro BS. So I'll give you my BS of the day. Retail sales decelerating. Imagine that. Next.
Well, and very true. All right, Pete, let's bring up Moderna, MRNA, which is named, of course, and they gave it the moniker and the symbol, the stock symbol, based on the RNA that they use for their vaccines and so forth. But it's not just a COVID vaccine. In their case, they have a respiratory illness, an RSV, that they're trying to address with a vaccine. And apparently endpoints in a phase 3 trial going pretty well. So that's great for those people. And shares were up pretty big today.
John, it's a stock that I own, but and I think you qualified it very nicely when you said, you know, that people look at it as a COVID company. And the reason is because it is, but they are making progress, to your point, and they will eventually start to expand what they've got because they have an unbelievable grouping of different types of ways to try to battle things with vaccinations. And it's not all about COVID. It's about a lot of other things, and this one being one of them. But, John, the reason I own this stock, the balance sheet is absolutely phenomenal. Their free cash flow is off the charts. It's like $4 billion. And they do have some, at least some, in the final stages that people look for, the phase 3, that gets you closer and closer to the FDA approval. So because of that, I think there's reason to be excited, despite the fact that this is a stock that was 217. It pulled way back, and today it's been all over the map. But there's a lot of reasons I think that people should be excited about what Moderna's reporting today.
Yeah, I agree. And it doesn't mean we've got unusual activity, but that's the reason the stock's up today.
Yeah.
How about NTRA, Pete? This is our second of the headline stocks that we're talking about. Global leader in cell-free DNA testing. And they had a study, Pete, that they published in Nature Medicine. This is a periodical for mainly doctors like, our dad was. Not a lot of people who aren't directly in medicine are going to be reading Nature Medicine, but some pretty positive results. 40 peer-reviewed publications are giving this one a thumbs up. So that's why the stock's up 7% early on.
It's diagnostics. It's really important, John. This whole company is important for all of us on what they are able to do. But I'll throw the bad part about what's going on as well. This is a company that was founded in 2003. The free cash flow burn is outrageous. It's high. And that becomes a bit of an issue, John, because how long can you last? You've got to make money, and you've got to make money in a big way because you're spending money, right, to develop all of this great stuff for our healthcare world and everything else. But unfortunately, that's part of the problem, John. This is a stock that's been between 26 and 74. Today, it's trading wherever, about close to 40, 41 bucks, something like that. At least earlier in the day it was. But they got to start making money, John. We talk about it all the time when we talk about different stocks, and that is important. And this is not a company that just suddenly IPO'd and everything else. This is a company that's been around a while, as I mentioned, 20 years. They better start making money because even though they're important, we need to figure out how these guys can make money doing what they're doing, because we do need what they're doing. All of the DNA and everything else, the testing, the colorectal cancers and everything they're testing for, these are big deal. And if they can detect it early, that saves the healthcare industry a lot of money.
Yep, very true. And, more power to them. Let's hope they have a lot more positive tests going forward, Pete. All right. How about this one? I thought you'd like it. FUV, like Victor. This one's called Archimoto. And I sent Jared some pictures, so hopefully he can get them up there. But look at that thing, Pete.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, it looks like a motorcycle that's sort of been enclosed, but it's an EV. So they can deliver stuff with that. That's what you're looking at, the Deliverator, Pete. I think it's got a bright future, but here's the deal.
Does it really?
Everything works about what they're doing, but here's the deal. The stock was double where it is right now last night, which means it's down over 50%. Why is that? Is it bad earnings or anything else? No, they had to raise money to basically pay out to the suppliers and everything so they could build these vehicles, Pete. So yeah, it's down big, but I like it in the $3 range, and I would buy it.
It might be an opportunity, John, and it's almost like an option that doesn't expire until it does, potentially. This is a stock that's hit 52-week lows today. By the way, the range, folks, is about 230 all the way up to 156 bucks. Holy crap. And John, the volumes today off the charts. The last I looked, they were well over 6 million shares. Average is 174,000 a day. They had a $300 million market cap. Today it sits at around 11 million or less. I think it's actually less than that. So there's a lot of things that are bothering me as well, John. These guys don't make money, and we talk about that all the time. If you don't make money, when are you going to make money? About a 20% short interest across the board in this name as well. So there's a lot of folks that have been dancing around because they were on the short side for a long time. Maybe this is an excuse for them to say, you know what, I'm done. And maybe that gives this stock a little bit of a lift to some degree. But I love the fact that you're going with the EV space. They've got golf carts. They've got these things. They've got that. I tell you what, I'm not riding around in that daggone thing. If I'm on the road and you come by in an F-150, 250, or 350, I start shaking like a you-know-what at a you-know-where. That is not what I want to be driving in. But you know what, John? Maybe you're right. Maybe this thing can make some money down the road. But I'll tell you, they've been at it for a while, and they still got to prove it to us. And they're out in Oregon. These guys might be smoking something right now if they think they're going to be able to recover. I don't know.
Well, let me throw you to a different one, Pete, than Chegg. CHGG. This is one that basically it helps students get better grades. And how does it do that? Well, it looks at what they are studying and it helps them, in testing and so forth for various classes. Well, unfortunately for them, that Chat GPT, which is that company that Microsoft is heavily invested in and may be paying $10 billion for, that company, they could do everything that Chegg is doing, except doing it with AI. So they don't have to employ all those people, Pete. So that's why Chegg is down hard today, because people are saying, wow, if somebody else can just step in and take over for them, what's stopping them?
Yeah, and I don't know what is stopping them, John. I mean, you mentioned the Microsoft side of it. How about some of the other founders of this open AI company? We're talking about Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and all these other different, Amazon AWS is one of the founders. There are founders that are coming with deep pockets that are already there. Then you add Microsoft into the picture. It doesn't look too great for me. If I'm sitting there at Chegg right now, I'm starting to go, you know what? Any of these computers, are they locked in or anything? Because I might be bringing them home with me. I mean, it really is a situation, John, where it's almost like a jailbreak. I mean, they really are getting beat and beaten bad by this AI idea. And I hate to say it, but everything points to the fact that this is the direction you'd want to be in, because look at the big boys that you're going up against here. You weren't before, and now it's become an actual, a battle royale. And I think Andre the Giant right now is OpenAI.
Yep, no doubt. If you can do it with computers and artificial intelligence, machine learning, whatever it might be, Pete, you're going to beat somebody who's trying to grind it out with human beings that, call in sick and do all kinds of other things. All right. How about this one? XLI. This is the industrial spider. So you guys know that a spider is an ETF for the segment of the market that they are defining. In this case, industrials. There's a segment for energy. There's a segment for biotech. You get the idea. Anyway, this one, Pete, 11,000 of the March. So in other words, almost 3 months into the future, March, 100 puts with the stock trading at 101.66. These puts were bought, 11,000 of them. That's 1.1 million share equivalent. That's a big bet that the industrials are not going to be doing well. And today's tape, certainly one reason people are jumping on this trade. How about you, Pete?
Yeah, that one's interesting, John. I got one as well. And it's what I like about this one is Mara. This one, they just started coming after puts, and the stock was trading well above $8. It was $8.40 at the time. They started buying the January 8 puts, very short term, similar to like what yesterday I was talking about, extremely short term. You're talking 2-3 days, you're done, right? And that's exactly where we are here. These guys are already starting to make a little bit of money, John, because the stock just continues to go a little bit lower. Huge short interest. But I don't know that they're going to find themselves into a squeeze position, at least not for a little while, John, because when you look at what Mara does, obviously a crypto miner and so forth. Oh, there we go. We got a little something else coming up here.
Well, that one's coming up, Pete. Yeah. That one's giving you credit for Zim.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, you know what? We get some good ones here and there. 18,000 of the January 8 puts were being bought today, though, in Mara, which is Marathon Patent Group. Then that was the one from yesterday that we were just looking at, that Zim. That's the shipper. Now, what makes that one so great, John, is it didn't take long at all. Yesterday, they were buying those calls at the 17.5 strike. They expire on Friday as well. Today, the stock hit 18.60. Those options that were going for basically 30 cents, we're going for over $1. That is a bang, because that's a triple. I trimmed some today, John. I didn't take the whole thing off, but I did trim it because that's part of the rules that we talk about all the time. Terrible market today. It is easing back a little bit. Would I wish I would have sold it all? Yeah, probably. But I still got some for a little bit further. But with a triple, you can take off some and you're still doing pretty okay. So that's what I'm doing with Zim. But Mara, I think this thing could go a little bit lower still, John. And I think those put buyers reflect that.
Yeah. And Pete, we both know that Mara really works hand in glove with the cryptos. So if the cryptos are doing well, like they've done for basically, they're up 28% in the last 30 days. Now they're easing back a little bit. The question is it over? I don't think it's over, but short term, I think people are taking profits. All right. What do you got on the sports side for us today, Pete?
Well, we've got Brady, but when it says Brady, that's Tom Brady, guys. And this is, I really am interested in what you think as well, John, on this one, because Tom Brady did not have a Tom Brady-like year. I mean, the guy threw the ball 66 times the other night when in that big loss to Dallas. That is not the Tom Brady way. It's not the way that you're going to win football games. And I think he's starting to see that after the retirement of the previous coach, they aren't the same Tampa Bay Buccaneers that they were when he first got there, when they went to the Super Bowl. So I think that Tom still wants to play the game, John. I really do. I don't think he wants to retire just yet because he still has it to some degree, maybe not everything he did. But here's a trade that I think should and could happen. Everybody's talking about the possibilities of Tom Brady going to a lot of different places. Why not the Las Vegas Raiders? I throw that out there, and here's why. They have an issue with Derek Carr. They got rid of him, essentially. They didn't get rid of him, but they said go home, and he missed the final couple of weeks of the season. So they kind of gave up on a guy that they just gave a 3-year, $121 million extension for Derek Carr. Well, he doesn't have that now, John, because it looks like they're going to shop him around or do whatever they can do. Problem is, they're going to owe him some big money by February 14th. So why not try to figure out a trade? Tom Brady goes to Las Vegas. He gets back there with Josh McDaniels, his old coordinator and quarterback coach when he was with New England. Kind of makes some sense that he'd feel very comfortable in his latter years at 45 years old. So I think that actually makes some sense, John. And oh, by the way, he's got Devontae Adams at wide receiver. He's got Darren Waller. He's got Josh Jacobs as a running back, who I think is a superior running back to anything Tampa's had over the last couple of years. So he's really got a lot of the pieces in place, except for the defense. The Raiders are terrible on defense. They better do something in the draft. They got the 7th pick in the draft this year, John. I think Derek Carr would actually say, you know what? He fits in pretty well with the Tampa scheme, but that might be under a different coach than the ones who's there now. I'm not positive he makes it out, John. Maybe he will. So far, nothing really grumbling about it, but they were in the playoffs with a losing record. So that sort of says a lot about what Tampa's season really did look like with Tom Brady. What do you think? Does that trade make any sense at all?
It makes sense, Pete, because obviously anybody that watches pro football knows that they were after Gronk and Brady 2 years ago, when Tom Brady went down to Tampa. And it came that close to happening. But unfortunately, Chucky, Pete, being the mentally challenged person that he is, stepped in front of it. So they didn't end up getting those two guys. Who knows? With the right, trades here and there with those guys there and a couple acquisitions, they may have been a Super Bowl team. The Raiders may have been, but right now they're a team without a boat without a rudder. Yeah. And it's not McDaniel's fault. I'm not blaming him. He's only been there a little bit, but it's Al Davis's son, Pete. That's the problem there. End of story. I'll stop at that.
And the last thing I'd say on that topic, their defense, John, over the last 9 years and in that full period is ranked 32. You know how many NFL teams there are? 32. That sort of says it all. All right, so we've got Harbaugh up here next. Here's the interesting thing for me on him, John. I like Jim Harbaugh. You know what? As you know, Michigan's my most hated rival there is out there. I just can't stand him. I find him to be arrogant, but I respect the heck out of him, and I respect the heck out of Jim Harbaugh. I think he's a great coach. He started at San Diego. He converted them into a powerhouse. Then he goes to Stanford. He turns them into a powerhouse. Then he goes to the 49ers. They only just go to a Super Bowl and then 3 NFC championship games. So he's done it everywhere, including Michigan. Now, he hasn't been able to get the national title, but he's done an amazing job. But, John, why does he keep going for these interviews at the NFL level? He went to the Vikings last year and then said, you know what, I'm out. Then he decides this year he has a long conversation with Tepper. Tepper can't convince him into doing it down in Carolina. He had a conversation, a Zoom call just the other day with the Denver Broncos. He called him back and he said, you know what, I'm out. I don't want to, no interest. I'm coming back to Michigan. And by doing so, John, he saved a whole bunch of players.
One of the issues
wanted to go in the NFL. He had Blake Corum, who was up for the Heisman Trophy, running back. He's coming back now. 2 offensive linemen coming back now. One of their defensive linemen wants to come back now, and one of their receivers. So it says a lot about Jim Harbaugh, the man, that by staying at Michigan, all these players want to play under him again. But why is it, and I just wonder, why is it that Jim Harbaugh interviews at the NFL level? Is he doing it for reasons of maybe some sort of financial reasons? It gives him a little bit of a power with the University of Michigan. That could be the case. I'm not really sure. It looks like we lost John. He's over there in Switzerland. He's swishing down the mountain, you know, laughing like some kind of a lunatic. I've seen some of the pictures. They've been phenomenal. He keeps going into these closets somewhere in these hotels and motels or whatever. And, you know, Jared and I always start off with, you know what? People are going to be walking around, but that's fine. This is going to happen, you know, no big deal. But right before he dropped off, Jared, were you hearing all that noise in the background?
Yeah. I don't know what was going on there.
I can only tell you that all of his buddies are walking by and oblivious for all the right reasons. It's about 8 o'clock at night, 7:30 at night right now out there in Switzerland. Those guys have probably had a couple of cocktails and they're going, hey, Doc, what do you think? Where are we going tonight? Who knows? Well, thanks for joining us, guys. Rebel's Edge. You never know what's going to happen, but you know it's going to be fun, and you're going to get educated, and you're going to get unusual option activity like the ZIM we had yesterday. So look forward to you tuning in tomorrow on Thursday, again, 1 p.m. Eastern time here in the United States. And we look forward to seeing you then. Have a great evening and have a great day.